calling FroKnowsPhoto.com. What's up? So, we're here with another raw edit of the week, and a little later on, we're going to have a special guest editing, which you see who it is. The guy actually does not have any hair, so it's pretty much the opposite of the fro. But anyway, I would love to see a bunch more portraits come in, some fashion shoots. Now that the weather is getting nicer here where we're at, I'm sure it's not going to be nice everywhere in the world, but it'd be great to get some nice outdoor portraits or, you know, portrait session images. These are fun to edit because there's so many different directions you can go with a fashion shoot because it's art and you can, you know, anybody can do anything and make some different changes. And with that said, when I'm personally editing these photos, I'm doing it more just trying different things, seeing what Lightroom can do. And I know I'm not the greatest Lightroom editor in the world. I edit my photos to feel for how I personally like mine, and some people may not like that, but again, when it comes to editing and it comes to art and photography, it's all about what you think works best. And that's what's great about these raw edits is you get to see what other people did and see their techniques and pick things up here and there that may help you out when you're editing your photos. So let's dive into this image. As you can see, it's not rotated. I saw in the metadata that it was shot with a D100. That's a Nikon D100. That's pretty old. That's a 6.1 megapixel camera. It took 1 frame a second in RAW back in the day, but it was one of the first consumer and digital SLRs that Nikon put out. Pretty cool little camera. So here in Lightroom, you can rotate it. So the first thing we're going to do there is rotate it. I did that under the library button because I don't know if there's a quick key. I'm sure there is. But let's go in to develop this. Let's look at the settings. We've got 1/160th of a second at f9, ISO 400, 50mm 1.8 shot with the Nikon D100. First things first, you know, if we run it through a little critique, you notice that the trees are popping out from behind her head. This is the case where you would want to use a lower aperture. You want to get to the 2.8. You want to be below 4 in this case to blow out this background, or shoot at a lower angle, or shoot at a little higher angle, which I'm not always a big fan of for portraits, but at least you would change your angle and then you would drop the background so that the trees wouldn't be as prevalent right there popping out. So what should I do here? Well, you know what? Before I even get into the editing, let's look at this. A rule of thumb when you're posing somebody is if you're going to ask them to rest on their hand, look what happens when I rest on my hand. I hope you can see it. It squishes the face up. So you want to make it seem like you're resting your hand, but tell them to barely touch and not compress anything because that's going to give you more of a less scrungy of the face and it will look more natural. So just slight touches. Remember that when you're when you're working with a model, and if you want to have them lean on their elbow and their hand, have them say, just gently touch so that you're not squishing anything up, and that's going to give you a much nicer portrait. So this is a file that we can definitely edit because it's not perfectly exposed. It's close, but it's in the shadows, and this is something that we can edit. Not sure which direction I'm going to go, whether it's color or black and white, but I do feel that it's outside and it should be a little warmer, so that's why I hit my yellow right there. There I just pumped up my exposure slightly, as I tend to do. Go in and hit the contrast a little more and fill the black levels up a little bit. I may go to black and white, and look, I'm clicking the black and white button this time, guys. A lot of people say that I always desaturate, so I guess I kind of have to get into the habit of getting myself out of the habit of removing the saturation and all of that stuff. Let's see what these guys do. Yeah, I rarely touch these, so I'm going to go off with the tone curve, because that's just me. I don't edit based off of that. Right now, the black and white, I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling what is going on there. I think the color worked better. It just feels more natural. It looks more realistic. So let's see if we take out some magenta. No, actually, we're adding magenta a little bit, just to get rid of some of that light green color, as I'm not a big fan of the greenish tinge. So I'd like to get, I wish there was a little more fill light in her eye. I know I can come in here and touch that up, but let's see if we can do something. And Adam did something interesting last week with this feather. It extended out the outer ring so that you could paint it in there much better. That was something interesting. Let's see if this works, if we can change up her face slightly. And not take away from the image. So that's too much. So there it is a little bit. Let's take it out. I hit the delete button on my keyboard on the Mac, and now I want to go back into my history and show it. So there's with a little bit interface, and there's without. Definitely helps. I'm gonna pull back on, what am I gonna pull back on here? The saturation. I want to try to get it to match. So I think that's looking pretty good. That's without it. That's with it. A nice little kick into her face. Little bit in there, and it looks good. So now I'm going to get back into regular editing here. Yeah, I'm really happy with that little thing. You can't really see the difference, and that's really cool going into there and making that change. It's not over the top. It's not too well, it's not. It's just subtle enough that you can't really tell a difference. Now, I want to take out some of that green over there in her face. It looks a little too green, so let's change that up slightly. No, I'm gonna leave the. I'm gonna make it a little more vibrant right there, and that's what I'm gonna go with. All right. So there's that. The background doesn't bother me as much. This is where it started. You can see the major difference from the raw file out of the camera to making the edit right here. I don't want it to be too harsh on the contrast, but I do like the contrast. With that being said, do we want to pull back on the clarity? No, I don't like those glowing, and I don't want to go too high, so I'm going to pull back slightly on that, and, you know, it's turned into a, you know, the background is blown out slightly. That's why I said I would like to see the F9 go down a little more. But I am liking where this is going, or where it's at right now. But there are a million different ways you could edit this. I don't really want to add too much of the blacks levels. Fill light. Gonna pull back on that because I like the texture that was there without the fill light. And so there you have it. Let's see if I tweak the exposure slightly. Now I'm going to bring it back slightly. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it. Now it's nice and warm. Here it started, it's flat, but that's how raw files are. You have to do your tweaks. And I wanted to make it nice and warm. And that's where I'm going to go with it. At least that's where I think I'm going to go with it. And let's see, any more yellow? No. I don't want to take it too far. I just want a little bit of feel of yellow. And I'm going to go with that because look at the nice purple flowers right over here. I think that's the color that we would be going for. So that's where I'm going to leave it. And now it's time for our guest to try it out. Guest, you are up.
Okay, hi everyone. This is Don Bauer here, and I'm going to be doing the edit of this other person's raw file for Jared Poland's video thing. First of all, I'll just go over the details. It looks like they've sent us in an image which is a raw file, or NEF, and it's ISO 400, a 50mm length is the lens that they use, 1/160th of a second at f9, and it's with a Nikon D100. Whoa, old school, but shows what, yeah. Brilliant, good work, good work. Anyway, I'm not here to critique it, I'm here to edit it. Right, first thing I'll do is take it into the develop module and not use any of these at the side. First of all, I need to rotate it, so I'll do that first. Transform, that's where it is, and rotate counterclockwise. Okay, so what we've got is, now I can actually see it, we've got a very nice model in a grassy field. The only thing, she's looking a bit bored. Oh, stop critiquing. Right, okay, right, how do I work on this one? Okay, she's got very good skin. There's not much that I'm going to need to do to her. Okay, what I'll do is I'll look at the image in whole first. Now, where she is a little bit darker than the background behind her, and we really want her to stand out. Now, her skin tones are all kind of in the yellow, orange, and red range. So if we go over to the side down here, I'm using Adobe Lightroom 2, not the most advanced super duper one. And here I've got an HSL. You can do it in color, but just go to HSL. And then saturation, I don't really want to play around with that too much, but luminance is where I want to play. Hue, never fanning around with hue. And what I'll do is if I enhance the orange just a touch, the yellow just a touch, and the red just a touch, that should help things along a little. So yeah, so her skin's just a little bit brighter. If I were to go right up with the orange, you can see she gets really bright. If I go right down, it looks like she's been attacked by radiation. And so it's sometimes good just to like totally like fly the sliders left and right to see exactly which bits of the face they are affecting. And the red, that's usually around the lips, but it's not happening too much here. But I'll definitely just enhance all of them just a touch. Now the grass is green, funnily enough, and sometimes maybe bringing the saturation of or the luminance down of the green can let her stand out a little bit more. So there, okay, the green is too dark now, but if we bring it down, I would say I'm going to bring that down about halfway, and I'm going to put the saturation up just a touch there. So the grass now is darker, but it's more green, kind of. Now, in general, for the whole photo, I might do a little bit of burning of the background. So in the settings, I'll bring down the brightness. And again, just down, ooh, that's probably a bit too much. Maybe down there. Nice big brush. And float that over that. There. Okay, liking that. Now on her, I'm going to want to increase the brightness. So click a new one, put the brightness up, and just paste this over her face, and then make the brush a little bit smaller and really get it in the hair up there. Okay, so and if you want to see it, all you need to do is, hold on, my camera's going super slow and it's starting to heat up because I'm recording and I'm doing this edit and computer's hot. Where was I? What was I doing? Oh yeah, if you just hold your cursor over the actual dot, you see the bits which have been affected. So there you can see the red bit is the bit which I've enhanced the brightness. Now with a model, you never really want to increase the clarity because then it becomes like she's a zombie and you don't want to do that. So, and also if you bring it all the way down, it looks too much like a fairy painting. So again, with that, I'm just going to bring that down just a touch there. And saturation on her, oh, you don't want to put that down. You want to bring that up, but what I really want to do is more just enhance the warmth of the photo here. So in this one, it's the white balance. Brilliant, he's giving me a raw. Cool. Okay, so this was obviously done in the daytime, in the shade. And in the shade, if I would say this is the correct, the person who's given this photo, I wasn't even given the name of whose photo this is. So sorry about that, whoever's photo this is. Well done. But the white balance that they've done is 4,300 and a little bit of a tint change as well. I would say that is probably the correct white balance. Let's see if we go to okay, so yeah, normal daylight white balance is around about the 5,500, and that's really warmed her up, but that's a bit too much, I think. Because she's looking a bit bored, I'm thinking more maybe the colder, maybe the blue is quite nice, because that enhances the blues of the petals in the background. But no, I definitely, because it's a nice portrait of a nice girl in a summery field, I'm definitely going to up the white balance just a touch. Let's just get that to 5,000, so she is nice and warm. Tint here, not really want to play around with that too much. I'd say it's pretty much spot on. Keep that there. Okay, so she's looking good there. Now, next thing, so now that we've calmed down the brightness of the background, now, actually what I'm also going to do is get rid of the background a little bit. So I'm just going to bring the clarity and sharpness down in a new brush. And just so the background is a little less obvious. So just bringing the clarity and the sharpness down will help just make the background a little less distracting. And it's alright if I kind of touch the side of her because that's just really in her hair, and that's not too much of an issue. But I think that looks a little bit, that's probably a bit too much. Contrast down, no, contrast up. I like the contrast up with the clarity down. Maybe not bring it all the way, like if we have it up, it's like rah, and you're not noticing the person. So I'll bring the clarity down to about minus 80 and contrast to about 24. I think that's better. Now, she is spot on in the middle. I'm thinking maybe actually a crop might be quite good. Just having her over there. Now, that's one thing which I think Jared is always like, no, don't crop. You're not allowed to crop. But I'm a big fan of cropping. I say always shoot wide so that you've got the ability to crop afterwards. And I love this photo now. I really like this. Also with the blues in it, these little flowers in there, if you enhance the vibrance, that usually doesn't change the skin tones too much. If you do the saturation, it just goes mental and everything goes a bit dull there. But if you do the vibrance up, it just enhances all the other things, not so much the skin tone. Obviously, if you go mental with it right to the end, it's not looking that great. But I would definitely say, because it's, again, is a nice summary shot, a bit of vibrance up. And clarity, because it's a model shot, you normally put that down, but and you definitely would have put it up. So I'm going to keep that normal. But what I'm going to do now is quickly do a little bit of work on her face. Just a clarity, just calm that down to about 74, and just work there and there. Usually avoid the bits where there's meant to be good kind of contrast, like on her nose there. But otherwise, that's looking fine. And on her arm, there. Oh no, that's looking a bit too much there. Control Z, that one. Bring it down. Looking for any like scratches or scars or anything, but no, she does look like she might have goosebumps there, so I might just cam it down around her arm, just one arm, and cam that leg as well. Okay, that's me happy with that. Oh no, I'm not actually. I've totally like. Her face is just too soft now. So what I need to do is click on the brush, and I think it was this one. And the cool thing is I can go back to it. So yeah, if I just hold it over, I can see all the bits which I have edited, and I can just on those bits increase the clarity or lower the clarity. I think definitely I've done it too much, so I'm just going to bring it to about maybe minus 18. So that shouldn't be quite as strong as what it was before. Okay, curved tone, that's usually the bit that I would say you should always play with first before going into your light fill, your exposure and all that kind of stuff. Work on your curves, that's usually a good thing to work. Blacks are actually probably a little bit high. I'll bring them down to around about 2 and bring up the top bits and bring down the darker bits. So that effectively, it still holds all the information, but it just enhances it either way. So that I like that one. Is that bright enough? I think maybe we'll bring a little bit of mid-tone brightness up. Let's bring it up about there. Okay, greens are looking good. Background's nice and blurry. She's looking not too bad. I might Photoshop out some of those moles on her, but no, actually, no, because that's kind of who she is. That's nice. And let's see, noise reduction, might add a little bit of that, because this was shot at ISO 400 on a D100, which is pretty old school. So if we, oh yeah, you can actually, wow, okay, even at ISO 400 you can see quite a bit of an increased difference. Obviously this would not matter if you're printing, the noise is pretty much all disappeared. Okay, so that is how I think, if I'm just giving that shot away, that's how I would do it. I would probably want more light on her in general, but I think that looks like a nice, pretty shot. What else could I do? Maybe if the green's up, green's down, green's up. Okay, orange is up a little bit more as well. Okay, let's say I am going to... Oh, vignette. Do I want to give a vignette? Let's give this one just a tiny touch. Right there. If I do that, I kind of want to brighten her up a little bit more. Okay, I'm leaving it there. I'm leaving it there because you can end up spending forever on that. So my before and after is that. So that's my before on the left, and that's my after on the right there. So, okay, now I'm going to pass it over to Jared. Or maybe that's already done. I don't know. Okay, bye-bye.
All right, I am back. I am Jared, as you already know, and Mr. Dom Bauer is in the bottom right-hand corner of this screen. Dom, thank you for trying to raw edit this week.
No problem, Jared. Thanks for letting me have a go at this nice photo that you sent me as well.
First things first, I see that you cropped, and now that I see your crop, I wish I did the same thing.
I am a firm believer of cropping, and I think everyone should shoot wide and then crop later.
Wow.
Oh, challenging.
Wow, that's funny. Yeah, I totally disagree with shoot wide and crop later. I totally am from the school of fill the frame in the camera and then go from there and shoot multiple angles. But hey,
Okay.
What'd you think of this file? Your edits? What did you now that you see my edit, what's your feeling of what you did versus what I did?
I think I'm happy that I did the crop. I think from the screen which I'm seeing, which is being recorded, which is on your screen,
yeah.
I don't know whether there's some form of loss of quality I'm seeing, but my one looks a little bit more pink now. So on my screen when I was editing it, whether my screen is calibrated to the same screen that you've got, it didn't come out the same as what's coming out on your screen being recorded from my computer screen.
I think there is a loss of color when we do the screen screen share with Skype. But yeah, just like you said, we're both on 27-inch iMacs.
Yeah,
and like you said, tell everybody what you said to me about the screens for people to be aware
just
of.
how every computer screen has a different calibration, and some screens have very kind of wide range of contrast, other ones that have a very short range of contrast. And some people that send me photos, they send me photos which they've edited, but because they've edited it on a computer screen that's only got like a short range of contrast, you can actually see all the bits where they've made black or all the bits that they've made white.
Sure.
When you've got a much better screen. So I would just say, for everyone that's editing, try and make sure that your screen is calibrated to how it will be printed. So it may be crap on other people's computers, but when you print something out, that's what you want your computer to be calibrated with.
Yeah, and many of the labs that are out there, we don't even need to mention any of them, they all have profiles that you can download and try to get your screen exactly to what their profiles are. So
yeah.
Back to the photo, it looks like I have a little more contrast in the face. It looks like you went a little softer. I'll tell you that in mine, I actually used the, the spot, what is it, the spot, what the hell do they call it? Where I make spot corrections. I don't even know what they call that button. Let me look, because I don't even know the name of it. I know people will yell at me for not knowing what the button is called.
The blemish brush?
What's it, the healing brush? No.
Healing brush? Blemish tool?
No, it's the adjustment brush.
Oh, okay, that one then.
Yes, I'll get yelled at for not knowing the exact term that I was using it, but whatever. I brightened up the left side of her face, so where her left eye is. I went in and did that just slightly to change the exposure because I just felt it needed to. But I love your crop. That's exactly how it should have been shot when it was composed in the camera. And I think that the crop that you made really makes that image much stronger. And I mentioned this in mine when I was talking about the background, being that it was shot at f9, that the trees were kind of a distraction, but the way that you cropped it, it kind of takes away from the trees being a distraction.
I've also actually edited the trees in the background as well.
What'd you do? Lower the exposure?
I've got the contrast brush, so the adjustment brush. I lowered a slight drop in contrast. No, slight increase in contrast, but a drop in clarity and sharpness.
Okay.
And did that around her head.
Sure. Yeah, and you know what's great about these raw edits, and this is for everybody out there, is that, again, it's art, and there's no one right or wrong way to edit a file. It's whatever you feel is best for you, and that's why by seeing what Dom and I did here, you get two different feels of it. There's not one that is right or wrong, and everybody else that's out there editing them, you get to see what they did, so you can start to see, hey, maybe I should try this next time or try this next time. It all comes down to what you think works best for you. And not, somebody saying, oh, that's a terrible edit, you don't know what you're doing. It really comes down to what what feels right for you, and we're all learning this as we keep going on. Sound good, Dom?
Absolutely.
So I thank you very much for trying this out this week.
Cool, no probs. Well, I'll send you my editing just after this then.
Yeah, because I need to watch it, and that's something that we didn't mention, that we don't know how we each edit each other's file, or we don't know how somebody did a file before we edited it, and that's what's cool when we put it face to face. We got pretty close with the same color, at least on my screen. I went with a little more contrast, as I like to go boom more often. But I love the crop. I like what you did in the background. I think it makes it really, really strong.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep. So what I'd like to see from you guys out there is I'd like to see you guys send in a lot more portraits. Now, like I said in my video, that the weather's getting nicer, at least over here. I don't know in Scotland how nice the weather is. I hear it's raining right now.
It is raining just now. In fact, it was a thunderstorm just a minute ago.
Okay. But yeah, even if it's a studio shot, portraits outside, inside, just let's see some stuff. Maybe even on the beach, These are fun to edit because there's so many different directions you could go. And with that said, you guys can download the raw file, check out in the forum. You can use Facebook Connect, or you can sign up, and that will give you access to download the raw file. Then you can download it, edit it, re-upload it, and let everybody see what you did. So, Dom, again, thank you very much.
No problem. And remember, everyone, my own channel is Dom Bauer Photo. Ta-da! That's it.
Dom Bauer Photo. It's in the box. It's actually on my channel. You have there's a box for you that's been there for like 8 months.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah, so if you would like to send in those raw files, send them to froknowsphoto@gmail.com. We'll get to them. We'll start to see how we edit them, and hopefully we will pick yours and have a go at it and see how everybody does with it. So until the next time, Jared Polin, froknowsphoto.com. See ya!
And Dom Bauer says bye!